Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Atypicals podcast, episode 7. I'm here with my co-host Kyle and our, not first, I guess third guest, but pretty more famous than our last guest, I would say.
Yeah, I mean,
we are here with local Bakersfield radio legend DJ Rect.
Oh, wow. Thank you for the legend part.
I would say, dude, everyone that I've been saying, like, I'm not going to lie, I used that to pick up some girls at a club a couple weeks ago.
Usually what?
No, here's the thing. Did it work?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't feel so bad then.
You would feel bad if it didn't work out?
Yeah, because I'd be like, God, my name didn't even help you.
Wait, I'm just curious. What'd you say?
So this drunk girl, I was at Casa Tequila, which, have you ever been there?
No. Well, I
don't recommend it.
I've been to that. I've been to that building because I've DJ'd in there before, but it's a new Casa Tequila. That's a new spot for it. But
it's basically a ghetto bricks.
Okay. Okay. All right. I understand that.
But so this like drunk girl literally like fumbled onto our table, and I started talking to her, and she was kind of cute and all this stuff. And she was like, "What do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a podcaster." It was like our 4th episode that we were in, and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have DJ Rec from 94.1." She was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna have him in the studio tomorrow."
I'm not gonna lie. I've used your name like before to like just be like, yeah, I know DJ Rec from Hot 94.1. Everyone's like, whoa, you know DJ Rec? And I'm like, yeah.
As long as it gets positive reaction, I'm all for it. But with the way things go, sometimes if you get a negative reaction, I want to know about it because I'm gonna be like, all right, what did I do wrong to this person for them to hate
I will
me?
be honest. There was a couple people, a lot younger people, that I mentioned your name, and they're like, "Who's that?" I don't, because they didn't listen to the radio.
Listen to the radio,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a different time now. Yeah,
It is. But yeah, so why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself, DJ Rec, aka Randy?
Yeah. Wow. Where do I start? I grew up in Texas.
Really?
Yeah, I grew up in Texas, a town called San Angelo, which is in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people talk about Bakersfield, they kind of throw shots at it. Oh, it's horrible here. No, San Angelo is
Worse?
I don't want to say it's worse, but it's like small. And you think there's nothing to do here? There's nothing to do there.
Okay.
And I went back there last year to visit family, and there's still nothing to do there.
Damn.
And
So it's a really small town.
yeah, well, when I left, I think it was like 40,000 people, and now it's 80. And I'm like,
Okay.
I still haven't cracked 100,000,
Yeah, for sure.
But when I was growing up there, I was listening to music, and I wasn't really into DJing yet. I was just, listening to whatever. And then when I came out, I have family out here, and so every summer we'd come out and visit family like in Ontario and Long Beach, and then I would listen to the radio and be like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
What is this DJs and all this? And then when we finally moved out here, I was like, all right, it's all around. So I'm going to,
Sure.
because I didn't know any DJs in San Angelo. There was none. There was nothing. Right. So I moved out here and started trying to learn how to DJ. And I ended up learning on my own. I didn't have anybody to teach me because, my friends at the time weren't DJs either.
Right.
So everybody was like, why are you trying to do that? I'm like, I don't know. What else is there to do? Like...
So it was big here? Was DJing big like here?
It was, yeah. Oh yeah, there was. I still am friends with a lot of the guys that kind of were around when it started. Well, not when it started, but when I started.
Mm-hmm.
And then during high school, would do clubs and things like that. I wasn't supposed to be at high school kid, but
Right.
whatever. And then me and my friends would like go down to like Melrose Avenue, Sunset Boulevard to go record shopping because that was the time when you and that was the first time I had ever been places like that.
Right.
And man, it was wild. Like the craziest time was when we went down there during like the Tupac Biggie beef.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Like I was like, so many people. You'd go to record stores, and most of the record stores would have like a hip hop section, and it would be big or whatever. But they would put all the East Coast music in the back, like on a stack. They wouldn't even they're like, we just get it, but we don't want, we're just having it here because we have to.
They just didn't want to be a part of the
and I'm
feud.
like, come on. Or no, they were taking the West Coast side.
Oh, right.
Because they're like, we're not even going to give it the respect.
But they still wanted to celebrate.
Yeah. And I was like, man. And, I was like, man, and I started getting like, oh, right, this is kind of fun. So then like twice a month, we'd go down there and I would just get records and start doing parties. And I would even get records that I didn't really care for. But, when you are doing a party, you need it. You know, I'm like, why am I buying Ace of Base? But hey, this is what they want, man. Like, or Macarena, whatever song is popping, dude. Like, I might even have a Billy Ray Cyrus record at the house. Because, I mean, people back then they didn't care. They wanted to hear whatever.
Right.
You know? And then I think it was, maybe 98 where I got on the radio for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was from a club called Aldo's here in town, which is, it just got demolished like last year, and it's now a gas
I remember.
station.
I never went to it, but I remember like passing by it.
Yeah, it's a club that was mostly a Spanish music club, but on Fridays we had a club night. Me and my friends, that it was on the radio. So whatever you heard in the club was on the radio.
Right.
And man, that was crazy. I mean, there it was 18 and over, and you would see. I mean, you're not supposed to, but you would see 18-year-olds like faded, and,
Right.
And you know, when it's 18 and over, you're gonna get a lower threshold of people that are younger. So if it's a 21, you'll get maybe 18 and 19 in there.
Yeah.
But when you're 18 and over, you'll get like a 14, 15-year-olds in there, and they're like faded and getting drunk. And I'm like, dude.
No, I've seen that. Like, just I want you to keep talking, but just a little tidbit. One time I went to a frat party at Davis. And my brother's fraternity was throwing it, and I won't say the name but it was at another frat house's house, but it was all like you had to have the Facebook invite to get in.
Okay.
And all this stuff. So I got in because me and my brother, we look a lot alike, and all his frat brothers knew me. Like, oh, what's up, little Sal? His name's Sal. And I was like, oh, what's up? And then later, I mean, this was like right before COVID hit. This was like early March. It was like,
this is recent.
This was, yeah.
Oh, wow.
This is not long ago for you.
And like, I remember he's like, oh, go get the White Claws in the truck. And I went out, and like 2 guys I knew were at the door. So because I didn't want to go and then come back and have some beef with some dude I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
And I went, and I was passing these girls who were like, oh, these girls that literally looked like 18, but they were like, oh, go in front of us so they don't check our IDs. Yeah. Wow. And then I heard one of them was like, yeah, I got to go to school on Monday. And this is like the colleges didn't have that Monday on, but the high schools had it on.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this bitch is like 15 or 16. And literally, and I was like, man, and I got in no problem. And all these hoes and shit were looking at me like, this dude, he's getting in. And I'm like, yeah, I'm getting in.
I mean, that's a crazy thing. Like when you got people that age getting into clubs, and essentially it's not really the club owner's fault. It's because the people at the door. People at the door have so much power.
Yeah. And
a lot of times some guys or girls, whoever they have at the door, can do the right thing and make sure that this place lasts a long time, or try to get that quick cash from somebody 15 trying to give them $20, $30 to get in.
Yeah. Wait, so how did they get in so easily? That's
because they're hot.
That's so people just let them in
because they look hot.
Oh yeah. You gotta.
Well, and then also most of the time, even girls that are like cute that are young, they still have to pay something.
Yeah.
Because these guys or the door people want to get some type of something out of it. You know what I mean?
Isn't there like an age limit or something?
Well, yeah, but Kyle, I mean,
they can just like slide right in or something.
Yeah, like look at me, like I
mean, yeah.
So like Randy, I use my brother's fake ID. I'm gonna be 21 in January, but like, and half the time I don't even get carded because of the way I look. Or like when I meet door guys, it's usually they tend to like me because I'm like pretty like laid back and stuff. Mm-hmm. So like when I went to Casa Tequila, the security was like, dude, they were dressed like all swatted up. They had like vests and guns and shit. I'm like, bro, what are you trying to do? Like, what can you do? And I walk in and they patted the guy. I showed the guy my ID, and my ID is when it's my brother, but he has a big beard, and I used to have one too. And he's like, man, why'd you shave that? And I was like, it's I just gave some bullshit reason. And he's like, nah, girls like that. And I was like, bro, that license ID tells TSA don't let this dude on the plane. And then in my head I'm like, was that a good line, or is that gonna tell this dude don't let this guy in the club? But he had that sense of humor, and he just laughed, and like the guy barely patted me down. Like I had a Swiss Army knife on me, and he knew I had it, but he just like, oh, this guy's not gonna do anything. This guy's chill.
You know, one of the craziest stories that has to do with that is I was doing a club one time. It was called Azul's downtown, and I remember like maybe a day or two after the club had, I finished DJing. I saw some pictures posted, and it's like these shots of a crowd, and it looked really good. And then I went back to one. I was like, wait a minute, did I see something? And then I see a couple dancing, a guy and a girl. And she's like grinding on him, and he has like his shirt, like he's kind of pulling it up a little bit. But he's not really doing it like to pose. He was just doing it because she was dancing on him. And when you look closely, you can see his gun in his pants.
Shit,
and I was like, yo, man, like,
What?
How did that get past the door?
yeah. And then I looked at the guy. I was like, well, he must be one of the homies of these guys because he doesn't look like he has any type of personality or, you know what I mean? Like a smooth talker to get in. I was like, oh, come on,
Just
man.
one of those dudes you see and it's just like, how the hell did you even get in here?
Yes, yes. But Kyle, like you were saying about age limit, it's I use Technology as like a rated R movie. It's under 17 per minute, but
people
on,
can
man.
like get in. Like,
People,
easily,
it's easy to
Yeah.
get into that. And same thing with a club. They have an age limit that's law, but man, I guarantee you half the time when you go to a club, not half, but a little less than half are people that are not supposed to be in.
So that's why sometimes, sorry to cut you off, Kyle, but like when I go, and I don't like the club scene, like even pre-COVID when I was like 19 and stuff, like I just don't like the scene. Like it's cool taking, like this time we took a cousin of mine who's newly single and his brother's like a super bachelor, and we all went out to get him to meet girls. And I was designated driver, so I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'll take you to go meet girls. Why not?" Like, because he drove last time, so I was like, "Yeah,
Okay.
I'll drive you. I'll be your wingman. Like, fuck yeah." Like, I don't care if I'm gonna hate the night. But what were you gonna say, man? Sorry, I cut you off.
I don't know what I was gonna say, but I did have a question for you
Yeah.
actually. So this is a burning question that I've always had, and I
Oh,
don't know
God.
because I've known you for a long time, so I don't know why I've never asked you this question. But where did you get the name DJ Rec? Where did that come from?
I have no idea.
What is that the full answer?
That is, I don't know.
There's no story or anything.
There
behind it?
isn't. The only thing that I can remember that I tell people that might not even be the truth,
Right.
but I remember was I was DJing one time when I was really young, and there's a guy named C minus who he's a legend, DJ legend. He used to DJ for, I think it was Korn.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
he was a guy that was one of the first guys that would DJ like hip hop and like rock and metal music.
Oh shit.
He's like literally, and I'm not saying that because I'm just like I never heard of it before him. Mm-hmm. And he would play like 50 Cent, and then he would like mix in Metallica, and like I mean it is wild.
Right.
And I was at a club one time, and this is like I said, like maybe mid to late 90s, all young, and I DJ'd, and he said, "Oh man, you wrecked it, man, you wrecked it." And I just said, "Oh okay," and I just kept it. I don't because at that time I didn't even have a DJ name. They were just like,
What'd they call you? Yeah.
nothing.
They're just like, "Oh, what's up, guy?"
Yeah, because I wasn't at that point. I wasn't really known, so I didn't even get my name on a flyer or
Right.
anything like that.
You were
So
just
me-
like
You just kind
the
of did
DJ.
it.
the opener or
Yeah.
whatever, and me and my friend DJ Progress, which that's he's had that name forever, but he, we went to this place, we DJ'd, and he told me that, and I was like, maybe I'll use that, and he was like, yeah, why not? And I was like, okay, and it took years for me to even get on a flyer, so it was like it sat on the shelf for a long time because I didn't, and then when I got on radio in '98, I had to come up with a name.
Right.
And I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. We were talking about that, and we just use it, and it just stuck.
But people would just call you up before that without like knowing who you are. They're like, "Oh, I got a DJ." Like,
No, like at that time I was only DJing with friends, so it wasn't like I would get gigs. It was always them
Oh,
because
I
I,
see.
Right.
being that we moved out here, I didn't have any family out here, just my immediate family, but that's it. No cousins in Bakersfield, nothing.
right.
So I didn't have no contact. So all my friends would get the gigs, and then I would just tag along. I was like the roadie,
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Why Bakersfield?
Yeah.
I don't.
Or,
you know
why
what?
Kern County, I guess.
Well, it was because at the time I had an aunt and uncle and cousins that lived here. But then when we moved here, because we would come and visit, but when we moved here, they moved back to Texas. So then we were like, come on, man. So we were stuck here.
Was it just like a big practical prank? Oh, we'll get him to
I
come in
know.
here.
I'm glad because, man, I mean, no disrespect to San Angelo, but I, like I said, went back last year. If I was back there, I'd probably be a farmer with 20 kids and 20 animals. I mean, I'm not saying that's bad, but for me, I just didn't want that.
A lot more's
Right.
going on for you here, I'd say, than it would have over
Oh
there.
yeah, I would. Oh man, my life. I'm not saying it'd be boring, but it'd be boring.
Be boring.
Let me ask you though. So years back, I used like, oh, I'm gonna be a rapper. I was like, but I wasn't doing anything. I was just writing. I didn't even post anything. What do you think of the name Untypical with a K? Does that sound cool, or does that sound kind of
Yeah,
stupid?
I mean, man,
I think anything could sound cool if you make it cool, man.
yes, that's a perfect answer right
yeah,
there.
right?
Because you know what? Let me tell you, there are some rappers out there that have names that or artists that have names that I don't think are dumb, but I just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like I love like SZA, but I'm like, where did you get that name?
Right.
I want to ask her, why did you get SZA?
Right.
You know,
That makes
and
sense.
or like a new rapper named Little Mosey. Like,
Yeah.
is
Oh,
that
I
his?
know.
You know, and it's not nothing about their music, but I'm just saying some of these names, it doesn't even matter. It does not matter.
I think his first name is Moses. I think that's where it came.
Moses.
I think so. I don't know. But
I prefer
think so.
Little Moses to Mosey.
But
That
like
would make
Kid
sense,
Cudi,
yeah.
I was like, because I've heard, you know, the whole like, yo, what's up, Cudi? But then I was like, where did Kid Cudi get it from? Because his name is Scott Mescudi.
Yeah.
So then his parents or his homies would call him like, oh, Cudi. So then he released an album, Kid Named Cudi, or Kid Called Cudi.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's a cool, like, as Kyle knows, I love playing Kid Cudi. Like, I'm always.
Yeah. It's your
and,
favorite.
Yeah, because his music, it's just like, I see him as like one of the original alternative rappers.
Oh yeah.
Like the guitar solos he uses, like in like Unfuckwittable or like Pursuit of Happiness. Like, I mean, I'm listening to it and I'm like, man, someone could like headbang to this.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy how, like, you know, that's another thing too, not just the names, but the music it's so different now. You know, hip hop, that's the one thing I see a lot of like older people complain about today's rap music. And I'm like, dude, I'm glad it evolved. It has to evolve. Like,
That's a cool answer. I like to hear that you like new stuff.
yeah, because I mean, I mean, if music, if hip hop sounded the same way it sounded in the '90s, I would have been done with it, because I'm like, okay, I get it already. But like, you know, that era stays in the '90s or whatever, and then early 2000s was a good era too, because that's when Kanye really came into his own, and like, you know, a lot of artists like that. And then now, I mean, man, I listen to. I mean, Travis Scott, dude, that guy.
Yeah, we were
is
just talking
we
about
were
him
just talking about Travis
last
Scott
week.
in the
Yeah.
last
Yeah,
episode.
good God. And then him, and also, you know, I like Juice WRLD. I mean, rest in peace. I mean, my son loves Juice WRLD. And
Really?
when I told him, because I mean, he was gonna see it somewhere, and I told him, and he was genuinely sad, because that's, you know, that's an artist that he likes, and it's just like, you know, it was a loss. And that's what I listen to the music, not just because of my job, you know, it has to be all current or whatever, but like, I listen to it, I'm like, man, this is hot, you know. And then it makes me wonder about my friends. I'm like, man, you guys are just stuck in that era. Like, it's up to you, but I just can't do that.
Usually if a song has a cool beat, that's what will catch me about like music today.
That's like I was telling Kyle with like some early 2000 stuff, like the sound or the singing is good, or the rapping, but the production was just like,
Yeah, all the stuff that happens on the side,
like some like early 2000s like Snoop Dogg stuff. It was just like, yeah, his rapping sounds fire, but like the you can tell the production was just not
like there's
there.
a lot of work that went into it.
Some of like and you know, it's funny you say that. I remember I went to speaking of Snoop, when he released the one Church to the Palace. I think that was the name of the record or the album, whatever. And then I went to a little listening session, and I was like listening to some of the records. I was like, I mean, these are okay, but they're not like hot. And then it makes you wonder, like, why artists of that caliber, they're like, the older they get, their music quality drops. And I just think it's because they're not hungry no more. Like, they just put out music to put it out,
Right.
And nothing ever, like, they've already paid their dues. So I sometimes I'm glad LL Cool J ain't putting out music no more, or Queen Latifah, because I wouldn't like it, you know. But they're already like legends, so it's like, you don't have to do that anymore. I know you like it, but I don't know.
Some people just lose their passion for it too, and then the quality drops.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I felt that way, or like you know, Common.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
His earlier stuff, it was good, but I just didn't. It just wasn't to my taste. But then I heard him on a Kid Cudi album. He did "Make Her Say."
Yes.
With Kid Cudi and Kanye West.
Yeah.
And Lady Gaga on acoustic.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is fire. So he's one of those older guys where I would want to see what he could come up with, even though he's probably not hungry no more.
Yeah.
Well, like he's doing movies like Keanu Reeves. He was in John Wick 2.
Yeah.
Wait,
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
No, I didn't realize that.
Common
didn't remember
he's a thespian now. He's not so much. I mean, he's still a music guy. You could tell, but he's more. I mean, one of the first roles that I saw him in was Smoking Aces, and I remember watching that movie, and I was like, Common, Alicia Keys, like, what are y'all doing in this movie? Like, it was very like, okay, but yeah, I that's one thing that's why when the young, you know, artists come out, I mean, I love it. I still love it. I don't care what anybody says. Like,
For sure.
when people tell me that, like friends are like, oh man, today's rap sucks. I'm like, No, it doesn't. You're
probably listening to the wrong thing.
Yeah, and you're just closed-minded. And
because I'll be super honest, I don't like a lot of mumble rap.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's when they say rap, they're talking about that. And I'm like, no, that's a genre. That's a sub of rap and hip hop.
Yeah.
It's not what it is now.
Mm-hmm.
So like again, Kid Cudi, he teased Man on the Moon 3.
Yeah.
He wants to make the trilogy. And he just came out with a song or a couple months ago with Eminem.
Oh yeah,
the
that's
adventure,
right.
The Adventures of
yeah.
Moon Man and Slim. And I was hyped for it because I thought it was gonna be Slim Shady, not Eminem rapping. And I was like, we haven't heard Slim Shady in years.
Dude.
And it wasn't Slim Shady, but it was still pretty fire.
Yeah,
So like with
yeah.
a lot of that newer stuff, that's what I like a lot more. And don't get me wrong, I like in freshman year of high school, I was bumping to like Lil Pump and all that stuff.
I mean, I
like
think
me and
we
my
all
friends,
were.
me and my friends, and like his old like 1994 like Ford F-150. We were all bumping that to like his crappy speaker.
Hey, that's
Randy,
legendary right there, man. That's legendary.
His speakers blow out, and I literally took a speaker like this big that I bought at the swap meet, and we'd put it in the back seat. That way we could have listen to
Dude,
music.
I think everybody has done that. I think all young guys. I remember when I was younger, my family had this old Ford Tempo, right?
Uh-huh.
And my buddy at the time was the only one who had a license. He got it before we did. So he would, my parents were cool with him because he was a cool guy. So they would let him drive us, in around. And he did something and busted a speaker. So what did we do? He went to his house and he took out from a car that was just on blocks at his house. He took out a speaker box that had two 12s in it, put it in my family's trunk, and hooked it up because we didn't have nothing to listen to. And he hooked it. I was like, dude, this is the most ghettoest thing. And he goes, but you can hear the bass though, right? And I was like, whatever. So I think that's what
I'm sure you felt the bass in that.
Oh yeah, it was loud. I mean, and I was like kind of surprised. And then I remember my dad says, hey, he's like, what's this in the trunk? And I was like, oh, it's a speaker. So-and-so put it in, whatever. And then he said, my dad was like, all right. Like he didn't even care. He's like, whatever,
I remember a couple years ago, my mom's truck got wrecked, or it broke down. And my dad had her drive like a 92 G or like a Tahoe.
Oh,
and the radio was so old, it had a cassette player in it. And I was like, man, I want to listen. And like I would listen to the radio, but when I went to the swap meet, I would look for cassettes. And I bought like the Forrest Gump cassette because it has like the Beatles and like the Doors and all that stuff.
The soundtrack.
I would just buy movie soundtracks.
Dude, I'm telling you, soundtracks are pretty hype. Like they got so much choices on there. Like sometimes buying those is better than buying like artist full lengths because it's like, well, dude, I don't really want to buy this album for one song when I can go to the soundtrack and get a whole soundtrack of just different random, especially with the movie, like you said, Forrest Gump had the old 60s and stuff like that on there. But yeah, that's funny. You said old cassette deck. That's
Do you have any records still? Just
I
curious.
have way too many. That's another thing too. When everything went digital, that a lot of DJs just got rid of everything. They just said, okay, I don't need this anymore, so I'll just get rid of it.
Those are collectibles now, though.
Yeah. Well, not all of them, but yeah.
some of them.
Yeah. So I still have maybe I would say about 40,000.
40,000.
And that sounds like a lot, but when you put them in shows, it's not that much.
Well, because do you still listen? Do you have like a modern like vinyl record player?
Well,
and all
when
that
I
stuff?
when I DJ, I still use turntables, and it's just digitized the way like there's this program where you basically get two vinyl records that come with the program, and it has like a tone on it, and then you hook up. You download the program on your computer, and then the mixer that I use, it has the kind of like the program built into it. So then when you hook up your turntables, you play off the program, and then it sends the signal down to where the tone is.
Right.
So then it turns it into the song, and then you can manipulate it just like a regular record. You just don't switch records. You just use the same record the whole time.
no, because go ahead.
No, I was gonna say DJing now is so like it's so far in the future. Like it's unbelievable the way it is now.
I was gonna say that there's like a stigma that DJing's a lot easier than it used to be now.
Oh yeah.
And people say that all you guys do is push buttons. Not anyone I
Yeah.
know, but
Well,
I've heard that before.
I mean, even back in the day, we still had to push buttons because things on the mixer still have buttons. But I mean, it's easier now because now what guys do is or girls what they do is they go get a music library from somebody, or
Right.
they just download off of the internet, and then you can do it because not only do they have like turntables, you have these controllers, which is just a board that has knobs for everything, and then it has a button called the sync button. So when you hit it, it matches the beat without you really having to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's where people hate. People hate on people that do that because it's like, well, it's a button, and you're not really making it yourself. You're just having the machine do it.
Does anyone still like scratch and all that stuff?
Yeah, but that's like a subculture thing.
I get you.
Yeah. But like, I mean, as far as vinyl goes, I still collect it. I still get new ones because they still put out. Because I don't know why, but lately it's a couple of years. It's been like a trend.
Yeah, like my brother, he has one.
Yeah.
He was like a '90s kid, so he was like the CD player. Do you remember those? The portable CD player.
Yeah.
I had one because in the early days, my family my dad put all the money into this house, so we had the nice house, but like everything else was like we had like a CRT TV and all this stuff, and I had Discman when people had like iPods and Zunes and stuff.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know, like, because I went to Target one time, and I didn't know that vinyls were, like, making a comeback, like you said. And I was so shocked when I saw, like, Kanye's Jesus is King vinyl just sitting out there, like, to buy. And I was
Where
like,
did you see that?
Target.
Target.
They're everywhere, man.
Well, no, I'm saying because that certain record was
like, this
very
just came out.
Rare.
Really?
It is.
Right.
I haven't gotten one because I know a lot of friends at Def Jam, and they haven't. I saw that online for like maybe a month.
Maybe I should have picked that up.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know what I was thinking.
I saw it at Walmart, and I almost got it for my brother as a joke gift because he doesn't really like the album, but he loves Kanye West. Like he.
Yeah, that's wild that was there. Was that long ago? I might go get that,
bro. I might go back. We might race. We might have to race for it, bro.
Yeah, because I didn't see it because they every time that I've gone to Target or Walmart where they have records, they always seem to have the same ones.
It's just in like the back section, just kind of hanging out there. There was one I think left, but who knows if it's been picked up or who even knows if it's rare.
Yeah,
or not.
they say it's not even in stock no more.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you where we're gonna have to go.
Yeah, it's very. Wow. You said at Walmart, man, that really kind of makes me angry.
But no, because like my brother, he likes collecting vinyls, and he has a little Audio Technica one and a whole setup, and it's really cool because his setup is like it has it, and then above it he has a shelf where the album itself sits.
Oh, okay,
it's playing,
yeah.
so it's like what's playing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he has like God, what was the, or I guess Randy could also answer it, the Kanye album where it has like Can We Get Much Higher? And
the Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Yeah. That one, and that one is awesome because it's four
it's like
records.
Four, yeah.
And the whole way it's put, it's very Kanye.
Yeah.
Because it came with sleeves for the alternative covers.
Yeah.
So like it can have the pixelated, like the angel fucking the demon, or like the sword through Kanye's head.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, man, this is very Kanye.
You know, I got a story about that album.
Really?
So, okay, you know that album came with like a movie. It has
oh,
like
yeah.
a movie
I vaguely remember that.
So when that was coming out, me and a buddy of mine, a coworker at the time named DJ Ogre, he's a guy here locally too, and we got invited to go see Waka Flocka do his first ever performance in California, right?
Yeah.
And it was at the Roxy in LA. And so the label guy was like, hey, come down and we're going to go to the show, blah, blah. I was like, all right, whatever. So then we're going down, we're like at the Grapevine, and I get a call from another guy. He says, you know, what are you doing? I said, oh, we're going to LA. And he's like, oh, you coming to see us? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, Kanye's doing a screening of that movie tonight.
Oh, shit.
And it's only for certain, you know, DJs or whatever. He goes, you coming down for that, right? And I was like, no, you didn't tell me about this. So then he's like, well, come on and we'll go. The movie's before the concert, Waka Flocka concert. So I was like, all right. So we went down there and it was random. We just showed up and got in there and they took our phones, so we couldn't take no video of it. And seeing that on the big screen was insane, just in general. And then after that, we went out, you know, in the lobby, got our phones back. And then Kanye's going around talking to people. And I've posted this picture before on my Instagram where we took a picture together and he's smiling. And everybody's like, what did you do to make this fool smile? Because every picture he looks sad or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. But before that picture was taken, I was talking to him about A Tribe Called Quest. Mm-hmm. And we were talking, you know, a hip hop group, and I was talking to him about something. And then he just like, his face lit up. And then we were just talking, and then they go, oh, smile. And then I was like,
I've seen that picture on your
Yeah,
Instagram.
and I'm like,
You made a joke about it, and it's funny because you're not smiling at all.
I'm not. I'm like, because I already kind of had a lot of interactions with Kanye, and so I was like, because I mean, but still, it was Kanye. But and then, so then after that's done, everybody's like, okay, we're gonna go to the Roxy, go to this show. So we go to this show, and they have a media side of the venue where all the DJs and news photographers or whatever, and Waka Flocka, he's a blood. Right. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I'm standing with the guy who invited me. He's to my left. And this guy, DJ Ogre's to my right. And then the guy, his name is Lee. And Lee turns to me. He goes, man, why did you bring your boy for? Why did you bring your boy? And I was like, what are you talking about? DJ Ogre. He's cool. And then he goes, no, look who he's standing next to. And then I kind of lean and I look, and it's Suge Knight standing next to DJ Ogre. This guy who killed Tupac or whatever. No, whatever. And I'm like, yo.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, this is wild. I go, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to get out of here, man. Just this, everywhere this guy goes, there's problems. There's fights.
He's that guy.
He's that guy. If you see him at the party, he's either going to get shot up or shut down. And it got shut down because some fight happened in the crowd. And I was like, man, I got to get out of here. And then on the way home, I was like, dude, what did we just experience? And we went from Kanye to Suge Knight. That is the most randomest night.
That does sound random.
Yeah. But and it was, that album, it's still one of the best albums.
Dude, that album was probably one of my favorites because of a game called Saints Row 3. I don't know if you've ever heard of that game.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that game introduced me because one of the first missions, you drop down with one of the most popular ones, Power. And that song's playing, and you drop into a pool party.
That's insane.
And I was 12 years old singing that song, and that's how I was introduced to the album.
Yeah, it was super high because you drop down and you're just shooting everyone and beating people with bats, and then
Power's playing in the background.
You just felt hype. It was.
And now I still listen to that song as a hype song, on the regular.
Yeah, no, that's pretty hot. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're flying down, and it's like you're in a movie. You're just pat, 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 taking out things. And
I feel like I'm in a movie. But yeah, it's a great album. I love that album.
Let me ask you, Randy. This is a relative question, but I was just curious because Kyle said that you've met a lot of famous people. Yeah. Who's the most? I guess the most famous is kind of arbitrary, but who's the most famous person you would say you've ever met?
I don't know, because to me, it might be. I might consider them more famous, but then people are like, who is that?
Let me say, I guess world renowned, where where mostly anyone can know who they are.
Oh, Quincy Jones.
You met Quincy Jones?
Yeah, that was crazy. That was another crazy night. It was at some event, and and a lot of these radio or industry events, they're usually just for industry people. So you always see the same people at these things, as far as DJs and radio people. And I remember I actually was talking to Cat Williams of all people, and and then somebody that I was with had too much to drink. And they cut him off, and he was at the bar still trying to get a drink. And I was like, I still got time before he gets real wild, right? So I was like, maybe I got 5 minutes.
Right.
And I'm walking, and I see Quincy Jones sitting on a couch. And I'm like, I look around, and I'm like, that's Quincy Jones, right? And then one of my friends goes, yeah. So I was like, everybody was afraid to talk to him.
Were they just intimidated?
Yes. And I was like, dude, I don't care. I'm not that guy. I have no fear. So I went up and started talking to him, and we were I asked him, I don't even remember, Michael Jackson questions, stupid questions that he probably hears all the time, And I was like, can I have a picture? He was like, absolutely. And we took a picture, and I stood there, and I was like, man, you don't know how much it means to me, and you're a legend, this and that. And he was like, you're welcome. He wasn't rude, but he was just like, this guy, this is, And I told my friend, dude, I don't even care if I look like a crazed fan. This Quincy Jones, man, Michael Jackson. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man. So, and also another person that I don't know if this is more famous, but somebody that was famous to me was Run DMC's DJ, Jam Master Jay. The guy, I met him 2 weeks before he got murdered. That was rough, because when I was young, I would watch Run DMC, and he was and Jam Master Jay was one of the first DJs that I ever saw ever, and people say that I kind of would DJ like him, because when he DJs, he looks like he's just bored. And people always tell me, why do you look so bored when you're DJing? I'm just like, well, no, I mean,
You're working.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I met him at a convention, and he was promoting some group that he had put together. And he was like, hey, man, we're going to go to California and we're going to do a tour. Can we stop by your station? I was like, absolutely. So he gave me his info, and I got a picture. I was like, dude, I got to get a picture. He's like, absolutely. And I was like, man, I met a legend to me, and he was one of the nicest guys. And then 2 weeks later, a friend of mine calls. He says, hey, man, you watching the news? I was like, what's going on? I turned it on. They said that he got murdered.
Damn.
And I was like, man, like, that really made me like nervous for some reason. 'Cause I was like, dude, I was supposed to, deal with this guy, and then he's gone. It's just, I don't know. It was just a weird feeling.
Just like someone that you met and saw and I guess touched. I'm sure you shook his hand. He's just not there anymore.
Yeah, he's gone. And then I think about too how long he had been around. All the things he had done, and now he's just gone. And it was like, man, like I started thinking I was a jinx. I was like, man, I'm not gonna meet nobody because
it is a curse you have or something.
But yeah, no, I think I mean, Jam Master Jay personally, but Quincy Jones. I mean, if there's somebody else I'm forgetting,
Jam Master Jay, I would say, I'd say for like kids my age, like I would with people in terms of relativeness, probably I'd put Jam Master Jay above Quincy Jones for our age demographic.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people know Run DMC. I think it's funny when like, have you seen this? Like when girls and stuff will wear like Run DMC shirts, ironically.
Yeah.
And then you talk to them and they don't even know who it is. Just like, oh, I just like the shirt.
I always wonder about that when I see it, kind of anybody. And I'm like, do you really know? Like, I don't really want to be like that dude. Because then I turn into that guy like, oh, you're trying to school kid. I'm like, no, I'm just asking.
Yeah, like it's just, you don't want to sound like a douche, but you're just curious. Yeah. Like, I used to do that with people wearing Nirvana shirts.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
the design is cool, but then I'm like, oh, so what kind of music do you like? And they're like, oh, I like Katy Perry and Kesha, and I'm like, oh, what about Nirvana? And they're like, oh, like the shirt, and I'm just like,
what do you know? It's like, what
no,
are you
like
about?
a legendary grunge group.
Oh, like the shirt. What's crazy is that I seen people wear like like Andy Warhol shirts, and some people don't even know like he was an artist. They just they think he's a designer.
Yeah,
and I'm like, man, look, but some people they just go for the look, not necessarily the history. For
sure.
But yeah, man, I met a lot of famous people. Also, a lot of people that are gone, not dead. I mean, their careers are gone. Like, I wonder where this guy is now or this girl, and then I looked them up online, and they got like their real name on their IG, and they got a regular job. I'm like, dang, you did a whole United States tour back then, and now you're, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just like, wow,
It's kind of indifferent.
Now, Kyle, I'm curious because I'll go next because I have met some famous people, but have you ever met anyone really famous? Other than DJ Rec?
Honestly, DJ Rec, you might be the most famous person I've ever met.
Man, we're going to have to get your list up.
You got to get my list up. Yeah. You know people like...
Well, my son...
He's... Okay.
RJ's met more people.
RJ has met more famous people than me, all thanks to him, though.
Because I would take him with me to the station.
Right.
And it was so funny because, YBN Corday, or now he goes by just Corday. He came by the station. It was maybe January or maybe late last year, and he comes in and I have RJ. He's standing next to me, and then Corday says, "Oh, hi, my name is Corday," and then RJ shakes his hand. He goes, "Hi, Corday. My name is RJ. Nice to meet you." And then Corday looks at me and goes, "Man, you're raising this kid right. That's the most mannered handshake I've had in my whole life." Like,
how old was he when that happened?
I think he was the same age, like 9 or 8, whatever.
So this is like recent.
Oh yeah, this is recent. And then one of the coworkers says to me, "You need to start an IG page for him. Just pictures of him meeting famous people." I go, "I can, but he has to meet them. I can't just have the same 10 pictures." And
it's the same guy, but just 10 different poses and different filters and shit.
But he's met a lot of random people just because he was with me, No,
when I was a lot younger, so in my adult life, I've met more like actors. When I was younger, Randy, how well do you listen to, well, let me ask you, are you of Mexican descent or do you speak Spanish?
Yeah, very, very broken, but yeah.
So, do you remember Bukis?
Oh yeah.
I met Bukis. My dad used to drive their
I got some of their records at home, actually.
I got some CDs right over there. But no, I met like Marco Antonio, Roberto. We've
Wow.
Yeah. I met him, or I met him my entire life. There's like a picture of all of us together, and my dad still like texts with Roberto and all that stuff.
Dude, where do you all meet these people? Like, that's what I want to know.
Well, funny enough, my dad, when he moved here, one of his first jobs was he was a gardener in Beverly Hills, and he met like what was Frank Sinatra's other daughter? Not Nancy, but
Oh, that's a good
Tay.
question. That might be it.
She was like the less famous one, but he met Sinatra. He became buddies with was the guy from Kiss, the guy with the long Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons. Yeah.
My dad would Gene Simmons would invite this Mexican dude into his house, like have coffee with him.
What?
But he met Gene Simmons, and then like through me, I met like do you know Moros del Norte?
Yeah.
Yeah, I met all those guys. Fermin, he used to have a house here in Bakersfield.
Dude, I'm telling you, every artist when they come here, they say they want to buy a house here, buy real estate.
I can imagine.
Because they say it's not as expensive, and they want to just rent it out. Like everybody wants to do that. That comes here.
That's been happening a lot lately. Is people have been buying houses and commuting down to LA for
Yeah.
their actual stuff.
The downtown area is looking a lot more like cool, like urban-y. Like a lot of millennial age people are moving
Is
there.
what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. But and then when I was like 9. So, Randy, did you ever see Drake's Started From the Bottom music video?
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this.
Maybe.
Anyway, so there's a guy in there who plays like one of his homies, and in real life he's Drake's cousin. And I saw him and this like fire-looking Asian chick at LAX. And I went and shook his hand, and I was like, yo, I didn't even know his name because I didn't have a phone, but I recognized him, and I was like, yo, I loved you in Drake's music video. And he was so like, he was honestly like genuinely touched because probably no one knows who he is.
Yeah,
And I'm like, yo, I loved you in the music video. You were dancing and shit.
Did he talk to you so much where you were like, okay, I gotta go, bro?
No,
like, it wasn't that
I
bad?
was a kid, so he was just being nice. He's like, oh, thanks. Yeah, I think he called me like little bro.
That's
And then
cool.
a couple years ago, I met Henry Winkler.
Oh wow!
In a restaurant in Westwood.
The fonts.
Henry Winkler.
You might know him. He was in Holes. He plays Shia
was like-
LaBeouf's dad.
I was like, yeah, is that guy? He's
He
not
was-
the author.
He was
right?
in Click.
He doesn't write any books.
No, he does. He does the Henry Zimmer child books.
Dude, okay, that's where I know him from. I was like,
But
I
yeah.
remember his kids' books, bro.
It's so funny that people know him from different things.
Like
Well,
I know
he's
him
done a
from.
lot, apparently.
I told him I went. This is a funny story because people probably know him from like the Fonz. And
Yeah,
all
that's
that
how
stuff.
I know,
I
yeah.
walked up to him and I was like, "Yo," I was like, "Hey, are you Henry Winkler?" And I shook his hand. I was like, "Oh, I loved you in Holes and Click." These movies that he probably doesn't even remember being.
But
in.
he probably liked that because he probably gets the Happy Days stuff so much that
Yeah.
getting recognized for different work. He probably enjoyed
Probably
that.
appreciate
He was
you for
having
that.
dinner with. I would have taken a picture with him, but he was like having dinner with his wife, and it was like a quiet, like kind of fancy restaurant.
okay.
So I was like,
Did you go up to him?
Yeah, I went.
You're just like a kid going up to
I
him?
was like, that's Shia LaBeouf's dad. And I went up and I was at dinner with my girlfriend at the time, her dad and his date, and they all walked over and I didn't care. I was like, man, I don't care. I'm gonna say hi to this guy.
Wow.
And I
Hey.
walked up and he was there with his wife. He introduced me to his wife. I shook her hand. And yeah, he was super nice.
Dude, you know what's so funny? Those two stories you mentioned, it reminds me of like the time I met Drake and how he said he was going to start a DJ crew called the Young Money DJs. And he was like, would you like to be in that? I was like, absolutely. And yeah, nothing. He just got too
came.
busy with life. I was like, okay.
Forgot
And
all
then,
about
and
it.
also, what was the second story you just said? Oh,
The
you're talking
Henry-
about and Shia LaBeouf. That's
Yeah.
what you said. I was at an event where he was at, and he was part of the event. And I don't know if you remember, maybe last year where on TMZ he went crazy on.
Oh, yeah.
I was there. I was at the bar when he started freaking out on that bartender.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah, I was there, and that night when I got home, I saw that, and I was like, dude, like that's not really what happened. Like the bartender was being kind of a jerk to him, and he flipped out, and I was like, dude, I was at that. Like every time I see something that I'm like, I was there. Like I wish I would have had my phone out because then I would have recorded that. But man, he's cool. I was like, man, why do people talk about certain people like Kanye and Shia? I'm like, dude, these guys are like normal people, but when you hound them, of course they're gonna
Right.
go crazy.
And with Shia's like newest movies, like he came out. Did you see The Tax Collector? It came out this year.
I was gonna see that.
That movie, the writing is a little, but his character, he plays this like super sadistic like enforcer for the Mexican mafia in LA, and he's good in it. Like his partner, they realize a guy stole money, and he's like, "Oh, this guy will shoot you in front of your kids. You don't want that, do you?" And Shia LaBeouf is whispering, he's like, "I do. I want that," when he's holding a gun to this guy's. And I'm like, dude, who is this guy?
That's nuts.
And then he did this movie with Tom Hardy called Lawless.
Oh yeah, okay.
Did you see that?
No, I actually have that. Well,
It's on Netflix.
yeah, I was gonna say I have that in my little list.
That one is cool too. It has like Guy Ritchie, and
Okay.
they all play three brothers who are bootleggers. And he's like the youngest kid, and he's like all timid, and then near the end he becomes this like badass dude who's working with like basically the like guy who's supposed to be like Al Capone, played by Gary Oldman.
Oh wow.
Like Gary Oldman's wearing like his pants all the way up, and like
Hey, that's pretty. Yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
that movie, those two movies are good. Like it was really surprising to see Shia in a movie where he's not like the young kind of guy.
I was actually gonna watch The Tax Collector because I saw it. Where do they show The Tax Collector at?
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix, right?
Is it?
I think.
Where'd you
I don't
watch
know.
it?
I saw it on an illegal streaming service.
I don't know. Well, they have it on. They might have it on Amazon Prime or something.
It's
think
on one
so.
of those. It's on one of those.
It's on one of those like lesser known
Yeah.
ones. But I was gonna watch it, and then I saw like there weren't very good reviews on it because someone thought that you can back this up, that the Spanish acting wasn't that good. That's what I heard.
The writing was a little
cheesy, they said.
but it was good.
It was a good movie though.
Yeah,
I might check it out.
it was played by the guy it was directed by the guy who did. It was David Ayer, who he did like End of Watch.
Oh, okay.
So those kind of cop
And
style
that one
movies.
was good.
Yeah.
And to watch, that was pretty
And
good.
it's funny, it takes place in the same universe as Training Day.
Oh wow.
Because Ayer also did Training Day, so it takes place in the same universe. So a guy who is a blood, we see that character in in Tax
Oh, that's
Collector.
cool.
All right.
So yeah, that's been cool to see.
This movie. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna. I mean, are we gonna jump to our next topic? Because I have another one.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You don't have to ask me for permission.
We just kind of broke, and I didn't want to just like we're talking about movies.
No,
and
no,
then
no,
just
go for it.
change everything.
No, I know the conversation's kind of going, but if you have something, keep it.
All right. So I know we talked about this already, but how did you, Miliano, find out about Hot 94.1, and what started you to listen to that?
What started me listening to it was in the early days. I grew up with a lot of Mexican music. Vicente Fernandez. Fucking Joan Sebastian. You know Joan Sebastian?
Yeah.
Dude, there's a picture of me and him, and he's holding me when I was a baby, and I'm dressed like a cowboy. And I think he's like kissing my cheek or something. It's very like innocent, but I'm like, dude, I have that picture, and this guy's gone. And he was a legend. He wrote over like 2,000 songs. Yeah. And I grew up listening to a lot of that stuff. But then so like when I would go with my mom would just like be whatever, and I would just change the radio, and I would start at the 89 and go all the way to the 100s. And I would just go, and I liked the three stations I listened to in terms of how much. 94.1, honestly, because you guys play a lot of good like hip hop and rap stuff.
Yeah.
95.3 is my second choice, and then 93.1, and then 101.5.
Oh,
So
okay.
with it kind of really helped introduce me to the hip hop rap music and like all that stuff, and like 93 helped me with like pop that was coming
stuff,
out, because
yeah.
I didn't know what was new and coming out. I relied on the radio. I didn't have an iPod, or I couldn't go buy the new like T.I.'s new single or anything like that. Like, so
Yeah.
I relied a lot on that, and it was just like I liked just listening to the DJs and stuff like that, like you and like I don't know if was Romeo there in the early 2000s?
When did Romeo come
Yes.
through?
Yeah.
He actually was the person who got me hired there.
Really?
Yeah, him and excuse me, when we were doing that club that would broadcast on the radio, he was the host.
Oh, really?
So he was at another station
Okay.
before, and then the station that we were on, it flipped formats to something. I think it went to pop, and they didn't play any hip hop except for that club night. And he was like, "I'm out of here." So he went to 94.1, And then about a month later, he called me. He's like, "Hey man, they're hiring over here. If you want to get over here." And I was like, "Yeah, because this is not fun anymore." So I went over there, and I've been there ever since. You know, it's been a long time.
You know, because you remember that one night, Randy, when I went to you with the studio, and I was there.
Yeah.
That one night, I forgot where we were coming back from.
I don't remember.
We were coming back late at night, and he took me to the studio because he had to
go by there.
He had to lock something up, right? Mm-hmm. And what was crazy to me was you were showing me everything, like here's the Hot 94.1 like stuff, and then we go just one room down, and you're like, oh yeah, here's 101.5 KGFM.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, they're one room away from each other, or a couple rooms away from each other.
Yeah, like 93.1 is a sister station, 101.5.
Which, did you know that they're sister
I
stations?
did not know that. I was a little afraid to mention it because I'm like, man, what if I wonder if it's like a feud. I was like, man, if I say Anthony in front of DJ Rec, is he gonna like trash me for?
Trust me, there are actually. I mean, you know, we all kind of are in competition with each other, no matter how you look at it. Right. But there was one time where there was some radio guys at a station that were bad mouthing us.
Really?
By name.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one particular guy would talk bad about me. And I remember, it sounds so corny, but I was in a Taco Bell drive-thru waiting in line, and somebody called me and said, "Yo, turn on the radio right now and turn it to this dial." And I turned it on, and they were mentioning my name, saying that I was a horrible DJ and all this. And I was like,
what?
"Who are these guys? I don't even know these guys." So I was like, whatever. And I went to a club maybe about 2 weeks later, and those guys were there. Ooh. And I walked in by myself. I always go alone when I go DJ. I don't know why. I just do. And I went, and they didn't say anything to me. And I'm like, I'm by myself. If you think I'm that bad of a DJ and you want to fight me for some reason, I'm by myself. And they just looked at me, and then they left. And I was like, what? And I kind of said to myself, well, they're just doing it for the theater of it, you know, trying to be those guys. And that station went away. And
but do you think they recognize? Like, did they know what you looked like?
Yeah, because somebody that was there at the club went and told them.
Oh, okay.
Because I asked them to.
I'll be honest. Because I was trying to, I always try to do this where I'm with like guests I don't know. Because a couple weeks ago I did it with my brother and his girlfriend, so I know them. But I was trying to like look up stuff about you online to be like, let's know him. And because
I mentioned this to him.
I was looking up the other Randy's bio on your guys' website
because there's two of you guys. It gets confusing.
Yeah, well, that's why everybody calls me DJ name, but at work. But I mean, yeah, it's
and I was doing that, and then Kyle's like, yeah, that's the wrong Randy. And I was like, fuck,
because you were looking at the other Randy for sure.
I was looking at the other Randy.
You like crumpled up your paper and threw away those notes. Yeah, no, I mean, and you know what, online, I could be probably more visual, but just, dude, there's just so much going on in the day that like the only thing that I will literally post is what I'm doing, and there's always a turntable in front of my face.
Right.
So it's always either the turntable or the mixer or the laptop, something.
Because I had a hard time like on your Instagram finding a picture of you, because I was just like, man, I want to know what he looks like. And then I found some, and I was like, man, this dude looks intimidating. Because it was when you didn't have your glasses in a lot of the pictures.
Yeah, and those are the old ones.
The glasses make you look less intimidating. They make you look like a nicer guy.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, they make you look younger.
All right.
I will say that. No, I was looking. I'm like, I was seeing the pictures. I'm like, man, this guy low-key looks like he could be like a mob bodyguard or something. Like he just looked intimidating. Wow. And I was like, man,
It was back when you had lesser hair and less facial hair.
And then also, thank you for that mob enforcer line, because people would say I'm from Mexican Mafia enforcer line. So go Italian now. It's all right. But I don't know. There was people that would tell me like, well, I didn't want to come say hi to you, you know, because you look mad. And I'm like, no, just say hi. I'm not.
I'm not a mean guy. I don't
yeah. And but the one thing that I will say that people do sometimes is like when I'm DJing and I have headphones covering my ears and they try to talk into that headphone, I'm like, you know, I can't hear you. It's actually covered, you know? But I mean, I'm not a mean guy. I just, you know, look mean, I guess. That's what everybody says. You look mean. Like, man.
No, like when I went and said hi to you at the door, I was like, man, this guy's chill. Because Kyle was like, yeah, he's chill.
I always told you, I'm like, yeah, he's chill. You don't have to worry so much. Yeah. He's not like a serious dude.
Because Kyle was like, he was like, oh, he might be a bit quiet, but in real life he's really talkative. So I was like, all right, let's see how it goes. And when we were talking in the kitchen, I'm like, man, DJ Rec's pretty chill. He's a cool guy.
DJ Rec's a cool guy.
And then when you get me on a podcast where I can talk to hear myself, I'm even more awesomer. Hearing my voice. You know what? I that's another thing too that I try to tell like guys that just start DJing. I tell them like, don't be like, have no fear, but still be like smart. Because when you come into this game and, you know, like I tell them, like, don't think you're already somebody, because there's so many DJs in this town that have a sense of accomplishment and haven't done anything, you know? And it's just like, dude, I mean, you're in Bakersfield.
Yeah.
And no offense to Bakersfield, but like once you get your name out there to other places, then, you know, still, you got to still be somewhat humble, because that's not a good look. You know, there's DJs that I've met that are like, you know, big DJs, you know, and they're the nicest people. And that you can see how they gotten to where they're gone, because they're not, you know, I'm not saying they're not cutthroat, but they know when to be that way and when not to be. And some DJs are always like that, you know, always rude and think they're this and that. It's like, man, come on, man, you're just a DJ, you know.
Yeah,
that's how I always look at it.
Chill out, bro.
Chill out.
Yeah, people tell me, they go, well, you're so chill, you don't, you know, you're not like these other guys. I'm like, yeah, because I'm in Bakersfield, man. Like, I love Bakersfield, but I mean, you know, I don't know, it's just that's too much drama.
There's places that are bigger than stuff like that.
Yeah. And you know, I've gone and I've made a lot of friends in this business, and it's not that big. I mean, all these radio DJs know each other, like LA, New York, Chicago. Like, we all are friends because we're all in the same type of business. So we know the struggles and what it's like. And, you know, a lot of the young guys, they don't know it that way yet. And when you know it that way, then it'll knock you down a couple pegs.
Right. Like they don't want to climb up the ladder. They just want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of, and you know, there's a term now called free Js, which is basically DJs who do gigs for free. And I've been hearing that in the past couple years. I'm like, dude, that's been around since before digital. You know, when I was carrying records,
You were doing that, I thought. Yeah, weren't you? Back in the earlier
well,
days.
yeah, you would do gigs for $50. You know, when you're a teenager, you're like, all right, whatever. But then when you're trying to make it like a career, then you have to change your mindset. You can't do $100 for 5 hours. And some guys are out here doing that. And that's just like insane. I would never. And that's another thing too about me that I will say that I like, is my reputation is I don't really do anything for free. So if you're going to call me, you're going to have some type of budget, because I can't do it for, there's people that have asked. I mean, I get asked like, oh, I got a wedding. It's 6 hours. How much do you charge? And I tell them, and they go, oh, all I got is $200. I'm like, that's only for 2 hours. I'm not going to go out there for all these amount of time, put all the work in, and then so I just want guys to go out there and know their worth, you know, because when you're DJing, you're the center of the event. You know, you take you out of the equation, there's a lot that can't happen, you know. And you know, some guys, they don't think that way,
because like back when I used to do photography, I did a lot of free stuff, and the biggest thing I got was my cousin's 30th birthday party. And I was going to do that bitch for free. And he was like, oh, how much do I owe you? And he's like, nah, man, I'm going to pay you. You put the work in, all this stuff. I spent like hours editing all these pictures. Yeah. And I was like, oh, that's cool as fuck that like he paid me without, like he could have just gotten a free whatever. Yeah. And he was just like, nah, man, I'm going to pay you. I think I only charged him like $150.
Yeah. But he know that that's a job, you know, and that's good, because, you know, there's a lot of people out there. I got asked to do an event one time, and it was for a company that has money. They're a huge company. And I said, it was a Christmas party. And I said, well, it's $1,200, because it was like a long event. And they said, well, our budget only has for $400. And I was like, you guys are only going to pay $400? And I was like, no, I'm good. And a friend of mine did it, and I texted him, I was like, you cheapskate. Like, and that's why, and that's the thing I say, I go, man, free J's have been around forever. That's been something that goes with any type of career. There's always going to be somebody who'll do it for less, and you just got to know how to, you know, hustle it the right way, you know, to get your worth, you know.
If there's any upcoming DJs listening here, then this is great advice for them.
Yeah, man. And you know what? Also, I would tell them, learn the right way to DJ, because that's the one thing a lot of DJs don't know. They just go out and play music, and they don't really learn the art of like mixing and transitions and getting on the mic, and that's a lot to know.
So when you're DJing, do you like at a club or anything, do you ever like try to read people and see if they're into it or see if they're not into it?
Oh, dude, I'm the king at that. I can read a room, and I can even, I don't know what it is. It's just, that's a gift. I mean, I don't think you can learn that, because
sounds hard to me.
A lot of DJs play for themselves.
Right. They
play what they like and expect the crowd is going to like it because you're there. But nah, the crowd, even if they want to hear stuff that they've heard a million times, give it to them. You know, if they've heard Drake a million zillion times, play Drake.
Yeah, because like the DJs at Casa Tequila, it was weird because they had the outdoor section and the indoor section.
Yeah.
2 DJs playing different music. And I was like, at first I was like, man, this is kind of weird. But then once you're in one area, you can't even hear the other area. So I was like, all right. But like the music I heard there was, because it's Mexican oriented. But dude, the times I heard like WAP that night, I heard that bitch like 4 times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we get it.
That song gets on my nerves a bit.
Yeah, that's one of those things where, you know, there is also an overkill if you do that, you know, because there's been times where there's a song that is just so massive that you just have to play it more than once, but you don't have to necessarily play it back to back to back, you know, play it once, maybe 45 minutes later, play it again. Because, I mean, that's, I don't know, because then they run, I mean, that's, to me, I'd hate to do that back to back to back like that.
What if you, sorry, I'm going to ask this question. What if you had to play Savage Love over and over again? How annoyed would you get? Because I know you're not a big fan of that song.
I just don't know why Jason Derulo always has to tell us who he is at the beginning of each song. I'm like,
Jason Derulo.
We know who you are, bro. I mean, I don't care. That's like I said, it doesn't matter to me. Whatever the crowd wants.
Whatever they want.
Yeah, that's how I've always been. Like, if they want to hear Savage Love, fine. If they want to hear... I don't even know what other song would be like annoying to some people. Maybe I don't know.
Is there another song that you just like are tired of that you've played over and over again, or that you listen to a lot? Anything?
Not really, because I don't listen to much music.
Really, that's shocking.
No,
actually.
I'm just kidding.
You know, I'm a DJ. I don't really like music.
Yeah.
I mean, I go
Don't
through.
like
There are times where I'll get folders from certain DJs where they make their little versions or whatever, or remixes that I get, and I want to listen to them to make sure some are good, and I'll trash the ones that are whatever. And there's times where I'll get sick of a song really fast, but I can't really I don't take it out on nobody. I just play it because I get paid to play it. You know?
What's your favorite genre of music?
Man, I don't know.
Wow.
I don't know, because what I listen to, personally, it's just stuff. I mean, of course, it's like older stuff, but it's like for some reason I was always, even when I was younger, I was into like dance hall, like reggae. Like there is just something about that music that is so high energy, even though it's not really fast, a lot of it, that I just couldn't get away from it. And then I don't know, like R&B stuff. I'm really chill. I'm not
like
you're just like me. I love chill music.
This is what I always ask people that can't narrow down an answer. Is there a music genre you cannot stand?
Not really, because for being the kind of DJ and open format guy, I have to kind of be up on all of it. And
would you do a screamo gig?
Sure, if they got a budget for it.
That's a genre of music. Like the hardest I'll listen to is like some Marilyn Manson stuff.
Yeah.
But like other screamo artists, I don't get it.
Well, and also I don't know if they would have a 4-hour gig of something like that. You know what I mean? Like I've never heard of a gig like that. Like I know a lot of friends that are into that type of music, and they just say that they don't really go to clubs or whatever. It's just But I mean, I've done gigs where it's been all like country, and I'm not really a country guy. I don't hate it, but I'm just like
with country, because that was another one I wanted to bring up. I like older and new stuff. Like I like Johnny Cash, Hank Williams, like that, where you can hear you can hear the low fidelity in the speakers, like that old shit. And then now like Midland, like they make that Drinking Problem song. Their stuff I like their stuff. It's
I mean, there's Dan and Shay that I'm like, okay, it's not horrible, you know what I mean? And then I mean, there's just so much of it that I don't hate, and I'm like, I start thinking to myself, do I really like this? Do I like Maren Morris?
Like Luke Combs? Do you know Luke Combs?
Yeah.
Beer Never Broke My Heart. I love that song.
Yeah. And that's another thing too, because I do weddings and things like that. I think right now I'm at 820 gigs of music. It's disturbing how much music I have. And it's just like, it's country, it's 70s, 80s. I did a party where I needed 40s and 50s music. I just keep it all because I don't know if I'm ever going to need it.
Would you play like Andrew Sisters? Hey, I love Andrew Sisters.
Yeah, I was like, they gave me a list. I was like, all right. So I got all the stuff and I was like, that's not bad. I didn't have to mix it. A lot of times some of the music like country, you just play it. You just play. But yeah, I don't necessarily hate a genre. I just don't. I mean,
listen to them all.
Yeah,
say.
For sure.
Right, but you have everything. Just if whatever the people need, you have it.
Sometimes I come across a song that I'm like, it's kind of already old, and then I'm like, I'll listen to it. I'm like, dude, this is kind of hot, and then I'll be like super late on it, even though I've had it. So I'm like, whatever.
Has anyone ever asked you to do like a Japanese wedding or anything like that, where it's Japanese music or like that, something like that?
Cool.
I did one time. It wasn't Japanese, but it was a Samoan wedding.
Ooh.
And I got all this music and it was pretty easy. But the thing that was wild about it is they have a tradition, I guess, in their culture that they play certain songs and the bride or the groom sits in the center of the dance floor and people walk around them and kind of dance and throw money at them.
Whoa.
And I was like, and me and my partner that were at this wedding, we didn't know that because they didn't tell us that part. So all these people were asking, play this off my phone or play this. And I'm like, dude, what's going on here? Nobody told me we were going to do this. And the husband came up and said, yeah, man, I forgot to mention it. So I was letting people plug in their phones to my system. They would play these songs and they were going around throwing money. And at the end of the wedding, I kid you not, they had like 4 hefty bags full of cash. And I was like, I don't know. I might be Samoan.
Was that like is that like a tradition or something?
Yeah, it's like some traditions. I mean, I don't know where it stemmed from or whatever. But I was like, I wasn't shocked about the tradition. I was shocked about how much money these people were walking around in their pockets. I'm like, dude, 6 hefty bags full.
Yeah.
No, but I remember like in older Mexican weddings I went to, they would have the cash like on them, like almost like they were strippers. Like it would be like tucked into their vest and all that stuff. And also I know the old school, not Italians, like old Sicilian families.
Okay.
The wife would carry like a little silk bag, and everything that was in a big gift, she would carry it, and it would just be like an old like coin purse or something like that.
Wow.
And the Mexicans also kind of had a thing like that, where it was just like a bag, but it like looked fancy.
Yeah.
Everything would just be right there, and they would just carry it with them.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I've never been to a wedding with all that money before. I was like, dude, this is wild. I was like, I felt uncomfortable. I was like, man, there's too much money around. Like, I was like, put it away somewhere, because I was getting worried someone was gonna kind of come and get it or jack it. I was like, But
I mean, with that much money, you gotta like, be careful.
And I don't even know what the denominations were. They could have been 50s. Even if it was ones, that's a lot of bags.
Yeah, I mean that's even if it was ones. I mean 6 hefty bags. That's at least what, like $5,000,
something like that.
at least.
Oh God.
Something like that.
Kyle, I know you had some questions you wanted to ask Randy.
Some other questions?
Yeah, or because I know you made a huge list, so that's why.
Yeah,
and that's why I've been going on my phone. Like I was, I haven't been texting.
We've just been kind of taking turns asking you. Like,
yeah. No,
so I'm not texting anyone because I'm like, oh, he's gonna hate the fact that I'm on my phone right now.
I would say, what do you think is one of the craziest things that has ever happened to you whilst you were DJing, or like whilst you were like just in the business in general?
I don't know, because I mean, there's been a lot. I mean, I've been in places that have been shot up.
Oh man,
that's been more than once actually. Mm-hmm. I don't know. This isn't necessarily crazy. I think this is kind of wild. There was a club that I was DJing here in town that over the period of it being open over a couple months, it would get busier and busier, but the bar wasn't making that much money. So what they did was they changed the cover charge.
Right.
They made it like $10. So that made it harder for broke people to get in.
Right.
So the club, the first week of that, it was half full. The bar made like $10,000 before it was even like midnight. So I was like, okay, this is kind of popping right here. So I'm DJing, and then out of nowhere, I excuse me, where I'm facing is the door to come in, the entrance and the exit. So I'm DJing, and I see these guys walking with trench coats, and I got really nervous because they look like
that would make me nervous too.
5 old white guys walked in, and they were walking towards me. They were just like
were they just stone cold, just
walking, and I was like, what is this about? And then I was looking around while I'm DJing, and nobody's doing anything. Nobody's trying to get in front of them or nothing. And so then halfway walking towards me, it was just one. The rest stopped, and he comes up and he says, he's doing like this, cut his throat, like turn the music off. And I'm like, I don't know who you are. I'm not turning this music off. So I kept going. And then he's still trying to get my attention. And then he kind of moves to the side and gets in front of me where I'm looking. And then he puts up his badge. He's a cop.
Oh,
and he was like, turn the music off. And I was like, okay.
It's time to turn the music off now.
And apparently the guy who owned this club didn't have like a cabaret license.
What's a cabaret?
Yeah, a license for dancing and stuff like that. And he didn't have the liquor license either.
Ooh.
So it was getting shut down, basically.
Yeah. So I remember that the club was done. They were throwing people out, and the guy who ran it, he came up to me and he wanted me to make an announcement. I said, I'm not doing nothing until you pay me, because I already knew it was done. So I was like, I want my money. So he gave me my money, and then he got on the mic and said something, and then I'm loading up, and this is when I still had records, and I was going and putting them in my car. And then I when I went in one time, he was talking to security.
Mm-hmm.
I come out, and then I come back in, and security's beating him up.
Oh,
and I was like,
wait, his security's beating up the owner?
Yeah. And I was like, he didn't pay them. And that's what it was. He didn't pay them, or he said he wasn't going to be able to pay them. And I was like, I got my money, so I better get out of here before you try to take my money.
That's crazy.
And then so I started like, yeah, you better give us our money, fool. Like trying to play the part. I was like, I'm getting out of here, man. And I booked it. And I mean, that was crazy. I mean, I don't know. There's been a lot of things where I've done house parties. One thing that, I mean, I don't do this anymore, but when I was younger, I used to do house parties. And then when they'd pay us, I'd call the cops on our own party so we'd be able to get out of there. Like, that's an old DJ trick.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if DJs do that anymore, but I mean, that's why I don't do really house parties anymore, because it's just there's too much that can go wrong there.
Would you do like if Kyle threw a house party?
Oh,
would
yeah.
you do that?
I mean, it all depends on who it is. I
Okay.
mean, I don't do for just randoms that hit me up at the station. Oh, I got a party, whatever. There's times, I mean, I still do house parties for friends and stuff like that, or people that I can trust that it's not going to be ghetto, and you know, some drunk uncle's not going to get mad and want to shoot the cousin or whatever. That always happens. Like, you know, so I mean, it's not necessarily one thing. It's just a bunch, and it always ends up with shootings. That's the only thing, because that's
how frequently does that happen?
That happens a lot. That happens a lot. It's just, one thing is that you don't see it on the news, because the last time I was at a place that got shut up, it was in the news. But there was one like a following week at another club, and it was nowhere in the news. So I don't know how they pick and choose, but
I mean, I don't see it in the news. I watch the news. Usually they'll never see it.
I wonder if the club owners like pay like hush money to anyone that might know.
Well, and also too, it depends on anybody gets hurt.
Right.
You know, if nobody gets hurt, then I guess it's not necessarily newsworthy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of messed up.
That is, that's kind of messed up.
But yeah, because that, I mean,
like no one got shot. Oh, we don't care.
We don't.
Yeah, because actually, that one time that I was done. What I usually do when the club's done is I wait till everybody's gone outside. I don't go, even if they pay me quick. I still hang out, because that's where all the problems happen, is in the parking lot. So I actually did leave when the crowd was still out there, and I walked in front of the door, and I was saying bye to everybody, me and a friend that were there. And then we get to his car, which was like kind of close to the door, 3 car spaces from the door. And then I saw this car pulling up, and it was driving real slow, and it just stopped. And then a guy got out from the passenger side and just started shooting at the front door. Oh. And I was like, and I just stood there and I watched him, and I was like, okay. And then he drove off, and I kind of got down because the security at the front door started shooting at the car, and it was kind of like in my direction, because the car was passing me. And I was like,
how are you even still alive? I want to know.
And so then they run past me, and they're still shooting at the car, and I stand up, and I was like, wow, that sucked. And we were going to leave, and the cops came, and they made us wait for like 2 hours and took statements, which I was like, dude, I don't know nothing. I don't know. I just want to go home. And 2 guys got shot. They didn't get killed, but they got shot pretty bad. And I'm like, it turns out those guys tried to get in the club earlier, and the security wouldn't let them in for some reason, and they came back and just shot up. And that's what happens most of the time. It's people that get thrown out or can't get in. They get, they feel like they're getting punked in front of people, so they want to come back and do all that machismo stuff, you know. And so I that's why when it comes to clubs, it's like, sometimes I tell security, man, just be easy, man. You don't got to be a jerk all the time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just chill. Just be nice to these people.
I was having a conversation. I don't know if it was with Kyle or someone else. It's like, I don't think I've ever met a door guy that was like chill. Like they always are chill about how much power he has. Yeah. He always has to like peacock around and like swing his dick around. It's just like, dude, we get it.
I mean, there's some that aren't, but yeah, there's a lot of
Or
them that
any
are
that
like
I,
that.
well, I'm sure you have a lot more experience than I
Yeah.
do. But
I mean, there's times where like the club owner will come to the DJ and say, you need to stop playing this type of music. They always say not play hood music. And I'm like, this is what everybody likes.
yeah.
Everybody, white girls love Ain't No Fun. You know, white girls love Get Low by Little John.
Yeah,
like they like.
One time I did. Well, I don't know if I was a DJ, but so I was playing music for a party for my mom's like work party, which is basically playing YouTube videos on a speaker. It's like, yeah, and I was like, oh, I gotta dress like a DJ, so I wore a red button-down shirt and a black tie.
You got the suit down, yeah. You got the outfit down, yeah.
And I was in the corner and I was playing all this like and it was like a kind of Mexican American oriented crowd.
Okay.
So I was playing a lot of this like what was that, like Anaconda and all this stuff, like this kind of poppy stuff.
Wow.
That all the
Playing
younger
that for your mom?
not no for that's what like the kids wanted to listen to.
Oh, I
dance
get
to.
you. Yeah.
Not for them, because I was just like, and I don't know about you, Randy, but I hate when that one time I will never do it again with how many requests you get.
Oh yeah.
But I was doing this, and a lot of the older people were like, oh, play like some reggaeton, some like stuff they want to listen to. I'm like, I can play it, but they don't want to listen to that. They want to listen to, American music. They don't want to listen to their dad's music or their mom's music. And it was bad. And I fucked up because I played a uncensored version of a song.
Yikes.
Oh man.
And I was like, oh, and I wasn't even get paid. I think I did that because for lunch or something like that. Like my mom was gonna give me a ride to the mall or some shit. And after that, she was like, oh, do you want to do it again? And I was like, no.
Requests, I don't know, it depends on my mood that day. I'm never like a rude guy to people. Even though DJs joke about it, I'm never rude. But there are times where people come up to you and man, they think because you're there, you're working for them. And they say, play it next. I'm like, once they give that attitude to me, I'm like, I always say absolutely, and then like 3 hours goes by and I haven't played it. Because I mean, if you're gonna have a request, you don't necessarily have to tip the DJ, which people do sometimes, which I'm not mad at. But I tell them like, just be respectful.
Yeah.
Like, come at them the way you would like to be come at it about something, a request or something. And sometimes people are, most of the time they're cool, but there are some times where, like when I do weddings, I always tell them, I don't take requests at weddings because there's always going to be that one family member who's drunk, thinks that because you're being paid to be there to be the DJ, that you're going to get to play what they want. And like I said, there's a drunk tia or uncle, something that wants to hear something. And I always say, I don't take requests because I don't know, when it comes to weddings, I always ask them a couple questions. And one of them is like, what song or artist do you not want to hear? And then they always say, why are you asking that? I go, because how do I know that your ex-girlfriend didn't like Beyonce? And she knows that, and she don't want to hear no Beyonce.
Right.
So that's why I don't take no requests. I'm like zero.
No, and I feel that way with and a lot of the Mexican stuff, like the corridos. Like if people request that song from whoever's playing, like they can get shot up. That has happened, and it will continue to happen.
Yeah.
Or like certain artists, do you know Elizalde? I forget his first name, but he was like a norteño.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he died after a concert because he played a song that was like a diss song to the local cartel.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And I'm like, so like my dad will listen to songs here in the US or will ask for him that he won't even go near when we go down south. And it's crazy. So is it kind of like, have you ever experienced anything like that?
Yeah, like when they ask me for corridos, I just don't do it. Yeah. I just don't, because I don't know I don't know these people.
Yeah.
So I just, when they ask me for that, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't even hide
like there
it.
could be a Sinaloa guy right there and the norteño guy over there, and you just don't even know because you're just
don't know.
Yeah.
And so that and it's crazy because the DJ at Mexican weddings, that's hard. That is hard because they all want different things. They of different types of Spanish. Some want to hear salsa, some want to hear cumbias, and then and corridos and all this stuff. I'm like, dude, man. That's why when I have meetings with the couple, I always say, this is your day. So this is all I want from you. I don't want a request from your family, whatever. I'm not doing that. And usually it works out. They're okay with it. And when the aunt comes up and asks, I'm like, hey, the couple said no. Even when they say, in the day, like in the moment, the bride comes up, she's drunk, she says, "Oh yeah, play whatever she wants." I still don't do it because you're inebriated. But in the sober meeting we had, you did not say that,
Right.
So
when everything was up there, we already established the rules.
Yeah.
No, I feel that way because I was like telling Kyle, I was like, when like you yourself are drinking or drunk, other drunk people, it's like cool. But when you're sober and everyone else is drunk, you just have a horrible time.
I think I know that really well because I'm always the sober one. Like I was telling you,
like because these last couple times I went out drinking because I took my brother out for his 27th party. Of course, I'm gonna let him drink. It's his birthday. Why not? And I was driving, and he got hammered. Like it was bad. And then this last time, no one got super hammered, but just dealing with like drunk girls and everything around us. I was just like. And I was just there drinking like water and like a Coke, and I was just like, man, I'm trying to get the fuck up on out of here.
Yeah, I used to be that drinker DJ. Now I don't really do that anymore. So it's like, dealing with drunk people with their drunk requests is like I've been able to, adjust to that. But I'm like, man, if I was drunk, I'd be like, oh yeah, I did that at a club one time. I was faded, and the owner would specifically tell me certain songs, and she wasn't like about genre. She would just say, this one, that song, this song. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then one night I got drunk and this girl came up and she asked for, and I never forget it, it was Becky by Plies, which I don't know how many, that's an old song. But so she comes up and asked me, and that was one the owner specifically said not to play. And I was like, I was drunk, and then the girl asked me, and I was like, okay, I'll play it. And then I played the song, and the owner, what she used to do, she used to run up to the booth and be like, stop. Like she would make a scene kind of thing. And she came up and I was so drunk. And I was like, she's like, this is on my list. Don't play that. And I was like, but I have to. And she's like, why? And I go, because she asked me. And then she goes, what? And I go, yeah. And the girl was like right there. I go, she asked me. She's like, I don't care. This is my club. I go, I know, but she asked me. Like, dude, I don't even know what I was thinking.
In your brain, where you're just like, no, someone asked. I got to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, the song was over. And then, I told the owner, see, nothing happened. You're alive. The place is still jumping. It's okay. And she was like, I'm going to let it slide because nothing happened. But no. And never again did I play that song again.
For sure.
No, I feel that. All right, let's see. I think I did have one that I want to ask you because we were gonna do this interview style, but with the way it's been going,
it's just been flowing.
No, and I love when it goes like this.
Yeah, I'm all done with my questions, so I think
got a couple.
You can get it.
What's one thing you wish you had known when you started your career?
You know what? I wish I would have known how expensive it was gonna be, because that, man. In my teenage years, I had a job and all my money went to records. And like, I mean, it really, I had like 2 pairs of pants. Like, you know what I mean? Like I had no clothes because I would go and buy equipment, buy records, put turntables on layaway or whatever. And it was like, man, I wish I would have known that, because then I would have I got a better job or you know what I'm saying? I hustled more. But then the more I got into it, I was like, man. And then by the time I got my equipment, I was like, okay, I'm set. But then you got to maintain the equipment, which the equipment, the fader goes out and all this. And it's just like, man. And I mean, that might not sound like much, but when you're, a teenage kid and you're not making that much money, you're just like, I used to get mad because I would tell my mom, I'd be like, well, Mom, you're supposed to buy me shoes. And she was like, that's why you got a job, because I'll buy you shoes. She would tell me, I'm going to buy you shoes, but don't be mad at the shoes I buy you.
Oh, that's what my mom used to say all the time. Because when I was a kid, like when I was younger, I loved Jordans. Yeah. And I went through a phase of Jordans. I still have the holy grail in my collection is I have some Air Jordan 5s, the Fire Reds. I went all the way to LA to get them. I've worn them maybe 4 times. I still have them in the original box all wrapped up. And I was just like, because my mom, I remember when I was younger, she'd buy me like Skechers from what's that? From like Ross.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say like Foot Lockers.
Yeah, like shoes that were like baby blue, so like you could tell they were like girl shoes. And I'm just like, come on, Mom, and all this shit. And then nowadays, like the shoes I'm wearing now, they're like Amazon brand. I got them for like $20. Like, as long as they look cool, I don't give a shit about the brand. And I won't pay. Like I like leather shoes, leather boots. I do like wearing old school Chucks. Like I just won't go crazy with shoes nowadays.
Yeah, and I was I was the same way back then. But back then there was shoes that I would like. I gotta go get those. And then like I was like, I knew in my head I was like, I gotta make a decision. Either I save money to get shoes, the kind that I want, or I just get basic Vans or whatever that I would get. And Vans here.
I mean, I've been wearing the same Vans for like 3 years. So.
Yeah,
and I love them. They're great.
Vans. At that time, Adidas wasn't really that expensive, so I ended up getting decent shoes that weren't $100. But then back then, I used to be like, oh man, whatever. But then I'm like, now I'm thinking about it, like, it was all right. I had like Adidas and Vans, and what was the other ones that I used to have?
Reebok.
Maybe Reebok.
I had a follow up on, since we're talking about clothes.
Oh yeah.
What's up?
So do you have like a certain attire that you have to wear when going into the DJ, like to do your stuff on a daily basis, or do you just wear whatever you want?
Whatever.
Because I've never seen you wear anything other than your classic outfit. This is like what I see all the time.
This is because I'm gonna tell you, it's radio, not TV.
Exactly.
And when I do a wedding, you do have to wear like
nicer clothes.
Yeah. Which what's so funny, since this whole pandemic started, man, I went. What month are we in? We're in November, right?
Yeah.
I think from like February till like last month, I hadn't wore jeans that entire time.
Because I feel that I only wore jeans to because on Sundays I have a construction job. That's the only time I wear jeans.
Yeah, and so and I was like, okay, I got this gig I got to do, so I'll put on some jeans or whatever. Yeah. But like, it depends on what kind of DJ you want to be. If you want to be like a club DJ, sometimes the owner will make you dress a certain way.
Right.
Will have you dress a certain way. But not really. I mean, just as long as it depends on your event. Because some people, they'll have an event like where you're DJing, like let's say like a backyard party for somebody that it's like a Hawaiian theme party. It's all right to go with the theme, know. But yeah, that's what I usually, sometimes I'll go and, Halloween, put a shirt on of some sort of somehow. Because I don't really like to DJ with a mask on. That's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it all depends. It all depends. But I mean, I would say if you're going to go do like clubs, regular like casual is fine. But a lot of times you'll see DJs who just try to stunt like with, Jordan 1s, and like, I mean, just doing too much, dude. I'm like, dude, you're
doing the
club.
most.
It's like, bro, no one's even going to see that.
Exactly. And you're going to get them dirty with all the stuff that's on the floor. Like, just whatever. But, I've never been the kind of DJ to wear shorts to a club. Some DJs do that. They'll wear shorts.
They just go shorts.
Yeah. And I'm like, I guess, man, whatever works for you. But no, I mean, it depends on, I mean, I would say when you're going to go meet with somebody about an event, I would say dress casual and so they can know that you're not just some round the way neighborhood DJ that shows up with, two mismatched speakers and, a kitchen table for your setup and like.
Well, no, that's why I was a little embarrassed for our setup because this is an old desk,
cool.
desk.
This is a cool desk,
and we repurposed it because like my brother who moved out, this was his old room, and this he had his laptop here and all this stuff, and then we just switched it around, and like I have these like little figures here and all this stuff, and what we were gonna do, because I've had this bad neck crink in my neck for these past couple of days, we were gonna push this over. Have Kyle there, and we're gonna have you over here.
Oh,
but
okay.
I couldn't turn this way.
Yeah, but I like this setup. This
is a cool setup right here. Yeah, man. Like I said, we were talking about the equipment before we started. I'm like, man, you got hands on something that I've been trying to get my hands on for 6 months.
But no, the equipment hasn't been too bad. Like the boom arm, what'd you spend? Like $13 on it?
13, it was not expensive at all.
Yeah,
boom arm's easy.
And then
to
like
get.
this one is cool because it came with the mic, so the cable's embedded into it.
So it's already inside.
So and I was like, man, that's pretty.
That's kind of what we have at the station. They're inside, the arms and stuff. Yeah.
And I was like, man, the only thing it would suck is if I need the cable, but I'm like, I'll just buy another one. It's not that bad.
But yeah, no, man. I mean, you can go do a gig dressed like that.
I mean, yeah, like these pants were expensive though. Actually, I spent like $40 or $50 on these pants.
Wow.
Are those your joggers?
These are not joggers. These are just regular jeans, and they're really like they feel comfortable. They're not like they're super stretchy too. Like that's what I like about them. But like, yeah, I could start DJing.
Like, I probably couldn't go to a gig like this, with my Joe Montana jersey on.
Probably it depends on the gig. If it's a Raiders party, probably not. But
Wow. So no East Side parties then.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yes, no.
I remember I've done a couple parties, but one that I went to one time, it was so ghetto. And I'm not saying the East Side is all ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
It was just that house.
Yeah.
And I remember I got there, and I was gonna go DJ a set because a friend was like, "Oh, they wanna, I want to go and do something, so I'll pay you to do a set, and then I'll be right back." And I got there, and I kind of walked to the backyard, and I looked, and nobody had really saw me come in.
Right.
And I looked at it, and I was like, "No way, no way!" It was too many guys. A lot of them were all on one, or a couple of the girls that were there. I was like, this just feels like trouble.
Were they all just like chuntis?
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm going to roll out. So I hit him up. I was like, bro, I'm sick or something. I don't even remember. I just like, and he told me the next day that he goes, man, I'm glad you didn't come, because it ended up being a rumble and somebody looked at somebody and all this. And I was like, good, man, because I showed up. I just didn't like the vibe. And he was like, I figured. He already knew. He already knew. He goes, I could tell through your text. And I was like, yeah, because I wasn't feeling it. But yeah, man, those kind of parties, I'm good on those.
Right. So with like DJing, do you ever, what's your mom's name again?
Carrie.
Do you ever, because I was going to say.
You could ask him that. He knows that too.
Well, I don't know. Well, no, because I didn't want to be like your girl, like the mom of your kid. I didn't want to get into the whole label thing.
I feel like this is confusing for everybody of how we know each other.
So I know Kyle through school, as I've said. Kyle knows Randy because he's your brother's dad.
He's my brother's dad, and my brother's my half brother.
So then now I know Randy through Kyle.
Through me. So that's
the triangle. Like we're sitting.
Yeah.
Would you call Carrie like your girl?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, do you ever bring Carrie to gigs?
No, because she doesn't like the women that talk to me.
Really?
Ooh.
That's it? That's the thing? Huh.
I mean, she's probably gonna get mad that I said that, but
I mean, she might not even listen. So.
No, what happens is it used to be a thing where she liked it because it was just, but the job hasn't changed. I mean, the job is the same. I go up there, play music, talk on the mic, and then go home. Mm-hmm. And she got bored of it.
Right.
And plus, she just doesn't like people bugging me. It's a female thing. I mean, that's how it is.
No, I hated when I would go. It didn't happen, but I never wanted it. I never wanted it to even happen where I didn't want to ever bring my girl at the time to any frat parties I was going to. Because I'd heard stories about like, fucking all this shit that happens to girls there. And then my girl would be like, oh, let's go. And I'm like, no, I'm not taking. I don't care if you get mad at me. That's probably half the reason we broke up. But I was like, no, I'm not taking you. I don't want to take that risk. You can be mad at me, but I don't want to risk something bad happening to you.
Yeah.
So that's why sometimes I would go and she'd be like, oh, you're talking to girls and stuff. And I'm like, baby, yeah, I'm talking. What am I supposed to do? Sit in the corner? I'm not gonna fuck them. I'm not gonna go home with them. I might have a shot with them, but I'm not gonna, if you're
doing that behind the DJ booth, you got a lot of skill. Well, and I understand that. And you know what's so funny is that I've told her and a lot of people that when I'm at a club, for some reason, I always have the same conversation with everybody. Mm-hmm. It is the most fake conversation. Like if it's somebody that I know, they'll come up and they'll be like, oh, hey, because they just want to be up there. Yeah. And I'll be like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? And they're like, oh, yeah, cool. And like, oh, what's up? Are you going to get drunk tonight? Oh, yeah, no. Okay, yeah, well, give me a drink. Oh, okay, we'll talk later. And then that's it. And then they walk up. That's literally the same convo with everybody that I know.
Have you ever had someone come up and just like ask you like a genuine question?
Not really.
Really?
No, I mean,
almost 900 gigs and not one like.
No one cares about.
It's over 1,000 actually.
Damn! I thought you said like 800 something.
No, you mean gigs that I've done?
Yeah.
No, it's been a lot. It's got to be at least 1,000. I've done so many. There's gigs that I've done that I don't remember that people will bring up to me. I did a formal for some high school and I don't remember it at all. And then somebody from that high school was at a club and said, remember you did the formal? I was like, where? And they said at the country club or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I did do that. Mm-hmm. And
did you ever do any events for Garces?
No.
Garces High?
No.
Good. Dude, the crowds right there, because like Kyle went to a private
I'm assuming
school.
You didn't do any of ours either.
BCHS?
Like, yeah.
No, but I did DJ there one time.
You really did?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what?
Yeah, well, because there was a girl that I knew that graduated from there. Mm-hmm. That she just would come out to the clubs and was like she was like a listener. She would call and request songs or whatever, and then she did something there where I think she put on like a fashion show or something. Mm-hmm. It was like just I don't know what it was for. I forget what it was for, but they needed music. And she asked me to go, and I went and I DJ'd in the gym, and they had the whole thing set up.
What year was that?
I don't know, maybe 2000 and... Oh, it was before.
I'm guessing it wasn't one of my years.
No,
Yeah,
but the Garces crowd, it's always, and I don't give a shit. Like I graduated from there, I talk shit about it all the time. I don't care. But no, it's just the crowds are. It's a mix of like, white families or white kids that have like super rich parents who are never there, so they get all up into all kinds of trouble. Like I'd go to parties and they'd fucking you know have that around.
Wow.
And yeah, at like 16, 17. I'm like, dude, I barely see this at like college parties, and I'm here in high school. Some of you guys like can't even drive yet, and you're over here doing this shit.
It's crazy.
And the crowds right there, it just gets bad because so like Kyle, at your dances, was it just like, oh, girls can't twerk on guys and shit? Did they have that rule, or did they enforce that rule?
They tried to enforce that rule. There were some weird things that went down in those places.
No,
though,
because at my school they had that rule and they heavily enforced it.
Oh wow!
Like the dean would go to these parties and he'd be like, the rule was, so we'd get a wristband, and if we got caught with doing that, we'd have to go to a cool off room. So we'd be the guy and the girl would be separated, and then if we were caught doing that again, we'd have to wait until the end of the dance, and then that couple had to leave. And I'm like, dude, what's with this shit? Like, yeah, if a girl wants to be holy on his guy, like, or if she's just having fun and she just likes to dance like that, it's just super. I don't know. It's a whole like Catholic thing. It's like,
well, I mean, I went to high school and they did. I mean, it was Shafter High, and they man. Those teachers were dancing with each other. I'm like, bro, like,
dude, Shafter High's probably hype.
They like couldn't go out to the club, so they just took advantage of that.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, they were in the cool off room, like not cooling off. I'm like, okay, this is weird. They were I mean, and I'm not kidding. I was times where we would be at a dance and I would see some teachers dancing with each other, and I look around, I'm like, the students aren't even dancing like that, and these I'm like, whatever, man.
There was something worse than dancing that happened at one of my school dances.
What, did someone get caught, doing the dirty?
Yeah, has that happened to at your school?
Yeah, dude, the band room.
What the heck? Well, no, not in the band room, dude.
No, the band room was the band room was known as like the place where like people fucked that like couldn't bring their girlfriend or boyfriend to their house.
Well, how about this? Try in the middle of the dance floor.
No. Was it Tupac?
That's what happened to Tupac. What? That's happened to Tupac?
That happened to Tupac. He had some interaction on the dance floor at a club in the middle of the dance floor. People were watching. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy.
Well, it's kind of gross how like everyone knew that.
What were they doing?
I don't know, bro, but I just heard from people who heard from other people that
now
what?
Okay, go ahead.
That this couple was having sex in the middle of the dance floor, and basically, like, somehow he inserted his wiener into her in the middle, and no one saw it, but everyone could tell. And it's kind of gross how we could tell. But
I just want to know the mechanics of that.
I want to
know the mechanics too.
I like the medical jargon there, Kyle. Wiener.
He inserted his wiener.
Yeah, sorry. I have great.
Meanwhile, I'd be like, yeah, they were fucking.
It's okay. I try to change up the lingo every now and then.
That's crazy because I remember when I was in high school, some people got caught in the bathroom, and that's basic, and
that's normal. Yeah, that's like,
And what was crazy about it was they got caught because they were being so loud. It was like during class, and it's when during class it's quiet. You walk in the hallway, you hear all this noise, and you're like, somebody's getting murdered, and you're like, something is getting murdered, but not not her actually. But but I was like, whoa, okay.
Like, at Garces, I don't know if it was the whole like Catholic repression thing, but like people were fucking everywhere, like in the baseball dugouts, in the football field after everything closed,
Good Lord.
in the bathrooms.
Dude, like, that's crazy stuff. I mean, that did not happen as often.
It was like basically if like the Wolf of Wall Street's like office was a high school, that was Garces.
Yeah.
Minus the midgets, right?
Well, I actually got into a fight with a midget at Garces.
Really?
How?
Okay, well,
why?
That's messed up.
No. Okay, hold on. So he was like,
you better have won.
It wasn't a fight. I shoved him.
Oh, okay.
He tried throwing hands. He was talking some shit. I don't even know what happened. And I was chewing sunflower seeds, and I spit them in his hair.
Whoa.
How tall was
he? Wasn't like a real midget, but he was just like
short.
borderline. He was a super short dude. And I was like,
Shorter
yeah,
than
what are you
me?
gonna do? Yeah, no, dude, near midget.
Okay.
You're like what, 5'6"?
I don't know. People call me a midget even though I'm 5'6".
Fuck them. But they're just super short, and I was doing that, and then he like starts swinging at me, and I just like shove him against the lockers, and the soccer coach comes by, and he like grabs his fire shirts like this, and I was like, dude, I'm not a fucking. I'll walk with you to the dean's office. I don't give a shit. And then when I was walking, my girlfriend at the time passed us, and she broke up with me then and there. She was like, because she was like, oh, you can't. Why are you fighting? Like, oh, I hate that kid too, and I want to hit him, but I don't. And at the time I knew she didn't want to break up, but she was like, oh, I just need to find more time for God and all this stuff. And I'm like, bitch, you don't even go to church. And all this stuff. Wow. And then like the teachers made me like the next day we wrote an apology letter for each other and all this shit. And I was just like, all this like, you know, all this private high school stuff. But yeah, like we never like threw hands or anything. There was no winners. Just he started swinging and I pushed him, and it was like that. But like fights rarely happen at Garces. The only fight I really saw was between two exchange students, two Korean kids, because one of them like spilt milk on the other, and it was like a world star fight. Like they were like it looked like how two black girls fight. It was like that. These tall Asian dudes.
I saw the same thing. That's so weird.
And then this short like 5'3" like cute looking like a Danica Patrick looking chick. She was the soccer coach, and she goes and she's like, break it up, and she's hella short and like doing all this, and it was hilarious to see.
Wow. I don't think I've entertained stories of fighting. I remember one time at a club, it's all club stories, but I remember one time there was a club I was at where I was DJing and I knew security really well, and there was a fight that, well, it was a little scuffle, and then there was security guys handling it, but one of the guys that was in a fight, one of his homies was trying to get to it, and the security guard was like kind of holding him, and he was like, hold on, just relax. And he didn't really have, well, he was like, hold on, relax. And then he looked up at me, the security looked at me, and then he was like, just chill, it's over. And then the guy kept shoving, trying to get around him, and then he looked at me and he made a face like, okay, I guess, and then he clocked the dude. Because the guy wasn't stopping, and he was like, how am I supposed to stop the guy? And then when he fell down, the guy's like, I told you to stop, like after he punched him in the face. And I was like, dude, like, yeah, when you get in the club, that's the one thing too about people need to know. When you get in a fight at a club, security, that's in their mind's green light to go off.
Yeah.
So if you walk out of that club like hurt way more than you thought, it wasn't because of the person you were fighting, it's because security got you that way.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, we're gonna take a little break here. I gotta run to the little boys' room. Randy here has to run out, so Randy, it's been great having you on here.
Thank you.
I hope
thanks for coming
maybe
on.
You'll come back someday.
Yeah, actually,
We could do a part 2 of this if you want.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
Yeah,
a couple more episodes down, I'm down to come back and, you know,
Share some more
stories.
experiences, stories. Got it all.
Randy, is there anything you wanted to hype?
No, just you know, hit the Instagram. I mean, all my handles are all the same. It's DJ Rec, WRECK 1200. So on Twitter, DJ Rec 1200, Instagram, DJ Rec 1200. Yeah, I have a Facebook, but that rarely gets used. I don't know if anybody uses that anymore.
Yeah, we have a Facebook and we don't even use it.
Yeah, it's just there.
Yeah, my Facebook is different. It's DJ Rec 1210 because somebody already took the 1200.
Right.
But that's the Facebook, and you know, just tune in every Monday through Friday, 94.1, and call in with your request. If you hate me, you like me, whatever. You know, as long as you listen, I don't care.
But yeah,
and thank you guys for having me. It
Oh,
was
no
fun.
problem.
No
It's
problem. It
been
was
great
awesome.
having you, and like I said, hopefully you'll come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is our episode with Randy, aka DJ Rect, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Later, guys.